Hey guys, so this floor is actually very simple with doing Gojo, as a lot of the other floors are too. The mechanic is basically every turn it applies a melee damage taken decrease or a range damage taken decrease to itself, and that alternates every turn. And then on your team, it applies a physical technique decrease debuff or a curse technique decrease debuff every 2 turns alternating. So for 2 turns you have physical technique decrease, and then the next 2 turns you have curse technique decrease, and that alternates over and over again. The team we're gonna run is this. You can use anyone in the backup. It doesn't have to be Gakuganji. You can run Teen Geto, Dwayne Megumi, SSR Momo, SR Nanami, SR Momo, probably even Maito. You can run anybody that buffs your team's damage in any way. For this DPS, you can run anybody. I'm using Yuji. So the trick to this floor is about lining up your burst. So I'm gonna line up my burst so that I'm bursting with Yuji's ult on the turn where the boss has a ranged attack taken decrease buff on itself, and where our team has a curse technique decrease. Because Yuji is a melee physical technique attacker, right? So we want to burst when the boss has the wrong defense buff and when we have the wrong debuff for our attack stat. You can use anybody here. Green Nanami, Green Megumi, Green Maki, Green Nobara. You can use anybody as a DPS and you should be fine. The strat is very simple. There is pretty much no RNG. It's just on turn 1, Toge can't die. So we're gonna stun to try and raise the chance that Toge doesn't die. But the stun doesn't have to hit. Okay, he lived, so we're fine. Now we're gonna skill 2 on Toge and taunt. Now there's no more RNG for the rest of the strat. Actually, if Yaga randomly dies here, that would suck, but that usually doesn't happen. We're gonna skill 2 on Yuji. Good. Now we're gonna ult, do another skill 2. Now our Yuji has a very high crit and black flash rate. So we're gonna do some damage in the next 2 turns. Right now the boss has a ranged attack damage taken decrease. Even though we have a physical technique decrease right now, we have enough buffs and debuffs that we'll still do decent damage, as you'll see here. Not bad. Your Yaka might not have ult here if he hasn't been targeted. That's fine, just use his skill 1. It doesn't really matter. Now we're going to pop this Recollection and do another skill 3. When you pop this Recollection, it gives you a 65% physical technique increase for 2 turns, right? So it'll work for this turn, and the next turn when I ult, I'll still have that 65% to buff my ult as well. So even though you can only activate this using a command skill, you can still use it to buff your ult if you use it back to back. Or if you use your ult after the command skill that you use. And even if your Yuji is weaker than mine, you'll still not have any trouble clearing this, because as you can see, 4 million HP, and my Yuji will ult for probably like 10 million or 9 million. So you don't need A5, you can be A1 and you'll be fine. Yeah, 10.6 million. Like I said, very simple floor. Any DPS works, any debuff or buffer in the backup slot, and you'll have an easy time clearing this. Hope that was helpful. Bye guys.